My name is Edward Zwick,
And I'm Marshall Herskowitz.
and we're sitting here watching the pilot of 30-something for the first time in 20 years.
And boy, oh boy, already I'm remembering. We came up with the idea of doing these initial little vignettes to sort of quickly tell you the history of the relationship.
And also to establish the voice of the show.
Last night the argument was about where you sit in the movie theater. He says right-brain people sit on the left, so now I'm not creative. Yes. I haven't said a word to him about his polyester shirts.
We're already talking about ambivalence. She's in love with this guy and doesn't even realize it.
Can we get down to the main issue here? Oh, I don't know. Sex is pretty not too bad.
What's interesting to me as I watch this actually is how slow the rhythms are.
I know. We hadn't yet learned how fast they had to be.
Right, and how quickly they could talk and get it across. This
Right.
is actually a little bit underwater as I look at it.
Yeah, it's also was early in the schedule of shooting it.
Michael, are you okay?
I love you.
We're so lucky.
Now you have to go through with this. Everybody in there is waiting for you.
You don't realize what a step this is from me. I've never even attended a wedding before.
This was Ed's idea, this little thing to talk about Gary, and I have always loved it. And it still works.
A terrible mistake here. It's not too late to stop it.
Now, we are going in there and we are taking up our positions just like we did in rehearsal. I'm gonna be there right next to you, and when the rabbi and the minister ask you, all you do is hand me the ring. You can do it, Gare. That's why you're my best man.
What I remember also is the decision of whether or not he should wear a yarmulke.
Oh boy.
Because,
oh boy.
you know, there
Yeah.
had been
Yeah.
Jews writing television to be portrayed by Gentiles since the beginning of television. But there
Beginning of movies.
right. But there have been very few Jews on television wearing yarmulkes.
Yeah.
And, you know, to decide at the very beginning that this was a mixed marriage
Yeah.
was quite a central decision.
And by the way, you can't really tell it's a mixed marriage. He says the rabbi and the minister, but if you're not
Right.
listening,
Well,
you
I
think-
just mean, having
Yeah.
done it, we were then going to live with it.
Right.
$dollars for a stroller? Oh.
So here they are now. They're married, and she's going into labor.
Now, the one thing to say about this opening, by having this continuing little leitmotif of them in bed and yet seeing these vignettes, it's screenwriting. It's not written in standard television form. In other
Correct.
words, with long scenes and exposition happening with people saying what's happening. And this, I think, is a legacy of where we came from and what we wanted to try to accomplish. Now, there's something in that shot there which is very interesting. It's what the network called SBE.
Yes. Side breast exposure.
Right, and they were freaked out about it. The
Yeah.
fact that there may have been 3 frames there where you saw the side of Mel's breast.
We had to rotoscope it out.
That's right, exactly right.
By the way, we were using real products in this kitchen, and that network freaked out about this. That was Captain Crunch cereal.
How dare we?
How dare you? Can't use real products.
Now,
we're going to go to jail.
Now,
blah,
in
blah,
fact, all you can use are more and more real products
Yeah.
because that's what's paying for the network shows.
blah. I know, which is sad, but another story altogether.
I don't think you're fat.
Thinks I'm fat.
Do I get, like, small if I drink this? That would never work.
All right, so here was our
Oh
first.
my God, that's me in the background.
I didn't
There,
see.
I was in the background of that shot in a
heavens.
couple of frames. I didn't remember being there.
Here are the suspenders.
This is Patrick Norris. Patrick Norris,
Yeah.
the brilliant costume designer,
Yeah.
just decided to create a look
Yeah.
that he liked,
Right.
and then it became a look that everybody started to imitate, which was this very sort of combination of retro and thrift shop, and yet sort of fashionable.
Business-like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Being a bunch of amateurs is we still have the illusion of doing our own work and having a little
Right now,
integrity.
And there's Beowulf in the background.
Right.
Which is.
With your business, or in fact, you personally make me sick.
There's
Also-
our first homage to Woody Allen. He's covering
yes,
his ears.
He's covering his ears, but also what he's singing is Gary Owen, which is a homage to John Ford. Now, here's the bit of staging that just starts to establish something which is that he's lying on the desk and the conversation continues,
Right.
and that's just a definition of how they behave, that they are in this grown-up world and they're behaving like children.
That's right.
We're going out of business, and that's what my partner forgot, and that's why he's dead.
Oh, and here we are in a neighborhood restaurant
On Montana Avenue,
on Montana Avenue in Santa Monica, where we always used to go, and said, why not just shoot it actually there?
That's right. Right.
And
now this scene, I think, really came out of Liberty talking about her experience.
Liberty, your wife.
Liberty, my wife,
Yes.
talking about her experience with her girlfriends.
Yes.
Of having this newborn.
Yeah.
I think my son at the time that we shot this was about 6 months. Is that about right?
I don't
I think so. He was about
probably.
6 months old.
Yeah.
And she had these extraordinary friendships, all of which were starting to chafe under the fact that we were the only one with a kid.
Right. And of course, we had constant discussions before shooting this scene. What happens if the kid doesn't cry? You can't make a child cry. Is this going to be child abuse? What do we do? And of course, the kid did nothing but cry the whole time.
Right.
Politics and maneuvering, that's all it is.
Yeah.
You should quit. I'm gonna quit.
This is all real.
Mel was a mom.
Yeah.
She got it.
Yeah.
And Polly was not yet a mom.
Yeah.
And the idea that they would bring that part of their own experience to the scene is kind of great. Of course, Polly's now an extraordinary mom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this was the moment that they were each in their real lives, though.
Right. Right. Although Polly in her real life was not as clueless as
No,
the
of
character she was.
Oh, no, of course.
She was actually great about the whole thing.
Take it easy.
The blanket goes over. Oh boy, I remember trying to keep from laughing behind the camera,
Right.
while we were shooting this.
No, it's none of their business if the baby's crying.
It's not them. I mean, something's bothering her. I can't just ignore it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you go. You should go. And then we'll do this again next week or something. Maybe you could even get a sitter?
I'm really sorry. I was so looking forward to doing this.
I think we had to loop this scene. I'm remembering now.
Yeah, I can
It
actually
was
see a
just
little bit in the
impossible.
performance because the sound was all over the place because of the crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss you too. Go. It's okay.
By the way, there's a moment there. The fact that Polly is maintaining her anger is again another thing that was very important to us. That in television reality, people just get mad.
Right.
In real life, it's more complicated than that. And people are passive aggressive. They try not to be mad, and we were trying to evoke that.
Uh-oh. Look who's here.
Hey, what are you doing here? I'm making a play for your wife. What's it look like?
Looks like you're making a play for my wife.
I am making a play for your wife.
Yeah? Take my wife.
Take your wife.
We were still in a moment in our lives when we were always hanging out at each other's houses.
You staying for
And,
dinner?
this, I think, was the first time, certainly in the show, that we started to try to play that.
Yes, and it actually ended up being an important part of the show.
That's right.
Part of the appeal of the show. I remember my brother saying to me, do you really hang out at your friends' houses as much as they do? And I said, no, of course not. but it was just when you...
And also, this was the decision that the house is, falling apart always.
Yeah. This was an old house in the Adams district of Los Angeles, which was a wealthy suburb in 1905, and it's a house that's not in great repair.
Right.
Thank God you're here.
I feel the same way.
You won't believe this. I have to get something to eat first.
Hello, Melissa.
I hate you. You have a male appendage.
Well, have you checked recently? I wouldn't be too sure.
What happened?
What's great is how comfortable Peter looks at that moment, and how just present he is, and how Melanie makes this entrance that is just literally,
Just bursts through the room.
saying, "Here, I'm going to be reckoned with," and it's a
Yeah.
great sort of actor's decision to commit to her character as you first see her in the red dress.
What I was doing him a favor. Let him pick up his own food. Well, listen, he said
This was our first attempt at business on the
Right.
show.
Well, and it's all done in one.
It's all done in
This
one.
is very much film style. This is
Yeah.
is sort of William Wyler,
Yeah.
George Cukor. The camera is really just in one place, and the actors are moving around, and they're going in and out of frame. And now that's the first cut into coverage.
That's right. And we didn't use much.
We need a change of venue. Let's go backpacking.
What a great idea.
Yeah. We'll go backpacking. You'll dump this sleeve bag.
Even saying the word backpacking.
And now we're back to the master.
Back to the master. It's taking place in 2 levels, front and back.
You tried to stab him with a tent pole.
He deserved it. He was breaking up with me.
No, you were breaking up with me.
But we're past that now, aren't we, adorable?
Absolutely, honey lips.
Come on, this is a great idea, you guys. I mean, look at you. You're so tired. You need a break. Come on, let's go backpacking.
So now it becomes this private conversation here.
Right.
It's
I think what's interesting is that the episode, if you break it down to its plot, is about can we find a babysitter and are we going to go backpacking? That is the plot in its
that is the plot.
in its entirety.
That's correct.
And yet, in trying to tell those trivial stories, we're really trying to say this is the dynamic of this marriage at this moment, trying to find its footing.
And these people.
And these are
friends.
these people trying to understand the changes that have been wrought in their lives
That's right.
by this huge event of actually having a child.
Right. And now I'm about to shoot another pilot in another house in the Adams district of Los Angeles.
That's good to know that you've absolutely come nowhere and you live and not learned.
Yeah.
She's so pretty.
Yeah, I know. What if she grows up ugly?
I think about that too.
What if she grows up poor?
Will you stop worrying?
Oh, listen, you don't know what I did today. Start packing. The bank's foreclosing in the morning. I blew off the teller account.
This is this thing we did from the very beginning, using this kind of comic exaggeration of it's a sort of form of irony,
Overstatement.
overstatement, and again, it's a hard thing to act. Actually, it's not easy.
It seems that
Here he is, Mike. Why did you do it?
Yeah,
You destroyed your life.
He also seems to spend a lot of time on his back in this episode, just complaining. I think what's interesting and why people might have been a little bit threatened is that I think in that sort of American masculine iconography, lead actors don't really complain a lot.
That's right.
And here this character is sitting there complaining an awful lot.
Yeah.
And yet he's got this, wife next to him that looks like Mel Harris in this house, and why should he complain?
Yeah. Good question, Ed.
We're allowed to have a life, aren't we? What's wrong with spending a few nights away from your kid after 7 months?
What am I supposed to do? Interview babysitters? How do you interview babysitters? Good morning. Are you a genius? Are you totally wonderful and kind? And have there been any child molesters in your family for the last 12 generations?
Seems to hit the main points.
Oh, bleh.
I still remember writing these lines, Ed.
Yeah, well, I remember. I have some of those memories too.
Yeah. And here
Now-
we come to the music.
That's right. This is Snuffy Walden's
Yeah.
first comical cue, and I remember actually the name of the cue. The name of the cue was called "Begging for Sex."
Yes, that's
and
right.
and we had to try to find a musical equivalent. This was
Right.
Scott Wynant, who had put together,
Right.
found Snuffy, this wonderful musician who had never composed for movies, and
Right.
and Stuart Levin, who had been a composer, and they came up with this wry sound.
We always used to call them rye cues.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we never knew if that meant rye funny or rye cooter.
So they went together.
Now here's Patty Wettig's probably only scene in the entire movie.
Oh, no, she's in another
I
scene.
know, but she comes in
Yeah.
and basically that was her only line.
Right.
In the pilot.
Right.
So now, are we going to have another little talk about this? He said.
Freak in high school. I got pictures of him dancing naked at Woodstock. We could blackmail him.
Trying to have 2 different conversations at the same time, which
Right.
again wasn't done on television.
Right.
It's just chaos,
It's funny when you look at it now, and some of it looks dated, and some of it doesn't. But
Yeah.
what's interesting to me is the idea of the business of life going on, of trying to feed
Yeah.
the kid and cooking and all of this,
Yeah.
has become the staple of advertising now, of so-called
You bet.
Observed behavior and real situations that directors do brilliantly now.
Yeah.
And stuff here. Don't worry your pretty
But
little head about it.
it didn't happen in those days.
Right.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Sticky. Houses with kids are always sticky.
That was actually one of my favorite lines of the pilot.
The entire evening.
Is our house sticky?
I'll find a baby.
See how upset they are.
Like once with my baby brother, I once dropped him. I like dropped him.
This girl is based on a babysitter we actually had, whose name was Solange, and she was a born-again Canadian biker.
That's right. It's very good for a baby. It's very good for the lungs for a baby to cry. After all, you don't want to make a sissy out of him and slobber all over him every time you pick him up. But if he continues to cry, well, maybe you pinch the bottom just a little bit and then spank him a little harder, and then you put him down, and everything will be all right. And you get used to it.
Right on cue.
Right, that's one of those happy,
Just-
happy accidents.
Just perfect.
We have to do something, right? I mean, why don't
Okay.
we advertise ourselves, right? Because we got to be really aggressive.
This is a scene in which several things happened. It happened writing-wise, and it happened performance-wise.
And also directorially. I think I came to understand something as a director in the scene about what it means. There's a phrase in filmmaking, we say walk and talk. And usually a walk and talk, the camera just moves along with the people, and it's actually very uninteresting. And we found a way to break this up so that the camera angles fit the dynamics of the scene, you know. And there were a lot of dynamics in the scene.
It's also Timmy Busfield really nailing for the first time something that's going to find itself expressed again and again, which is the kind of rant.
Yeah.
The idea that so many of these words, and interesting, complex, difficult words, can be just thrown off and
Right.
done with this dexterity
Right.
that sounds like music and only becomes important when it stops, because the point of the scene is actually very few of the things they're saying, and only the recognition that happens in the middle, or actually 2/3 the way into the scene,
Right, it's about to happen.
when he realizes.
It's about to happen. Watch.
Wait a minute.
There it is. He's not answering. Now watch.
Excuse me?
Just because he didn't answer.
That then becomes the
Yes.
revelation.
And he walks away. Now,
With who?
all right, he's trying to get away from him. Everything is physicalized by the behavior.
Right.
Yes. They walk away from us.
Then they walk back.
Then he walks back to
In
us.
order to walk away from us, he then walks to the camera
Yeah.
and becomes headed toward the moment of
Yeah.
the real revelation.
Yeah. So we got to observe them at a distance, and now all of a sudden we get to see the intimate moment.
That's right.
It's, you know, a classical education.
That's right.
You had an affair. I don't believe it.
Is that what an affair is? I thought I was having a protracted...
An interesting little sidebar. The place where they're having this conversation
Yeah.
is in Century City, where we had gone to pitch the show.
That's right.
Where
It was
we
the
had-
ABC offices.
Where we had sat,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
before going up to the meeting and talked about doing the show. And here
God.
they are now having this conversation
That's too
in that same
disturbing.
bench.
And it doesn't exist anymore.
Right. It's all been torn apart.
Yeah.
Does Nancy know?
I always like your staging on this here, because they're talking to each other without looking at each other, which allows them to say something that they may not be able to say if they're looking at each other, and then allows you to do it in an economical way and also a graphic way.
And and these little movements, I call it micro blocking. When little movements like that change the frame entirely, they didn't get up and walk around. It's just something new happening.
The funny thing, we're talking about the directing, but the writing part of this
Lying around inside me, just waiting for a chance to
is
jump out.
really having avoided what he's talking about and having it come out through not talking about it, Now he talks about this in a way that's totally unexpected.
Yeah.
Because he
once you do it,
gets to something emotional.
Yeah.
And
which Timmy, was just so game to do.
Yeah. And again, I think looking back, for the show to do this with a man becoming emotional, for this reason, was radical.
Contemptible.
And it's certainly unacceptable to some.
Yeah. If people had problems with it. This was not part of the landscape in 1987 on television.
Right.
And again, this is a filmic moment.
Yeah, he just comes and he sits in the car.
He comes and he sits in his car. That's a reaction to the scene before. And he looks at his wife.
We're painting faces again.
Hi, Nanny. Hi, baby. Hi, Laney. Oh, you look disgusting.
How was work?
I never talk about work at home.
How was work?
Work is wonderful. Work is thrilling.
What's great about how they play the scene, and Kenny too, is that it's the resonance of the scene that went before.
That's right. And she realizes something's wrong.
Well, I think there's actually a bit coming up here when she finds out about the affair.
Yeah.
That's, I think, again, for us, a very important breakthrough.
It was.
In writing and in directing.
Yeah. In not talking about the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't believe her.
This was quite a little performer, this little girl.
I know.
I mean, look at all the different values we got from her.
Yeah.
Without a lot of, we even saw her asleep. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. The other thing is, it had to do with the fact that Kenny was a dad.
Yeah.
And he was so extraordinary with him, and not just Mel was a mom, but Kenny. It was very interesting for us as we read the actors to find that the actors who were parents knew something about being parents that those who weren't just didn't quite know yet.
Right. One of the things I'm struck by as I watch this is that our idea of naturalism had not yet penetrated to the idea of treatment of hair.
No, I know.
Everyone's hair is so done.
They're so coiffed. Their clothes are are pressed. Now that began to change later as we looked at it more and more. Oh no, this looks everything about it actually looks just far too nice.
Yeah.
Honey, are you hungry?
I just need to rest for a minute.
Never mind.
I'm sorry I didn't get to the market. There's frozen stuff, I think.
Honey, I do write my mind. It's kind of, never mind.
I didn't get a chance to clean up. I'm sorry. You can clean up too, you know.
I gave her a bath. I put her to bed. I come home from work. Where you don't think I do anything all day?
See, now this is an interesting moment where I think we were all still finding our way into the balance of these emotional states. And I think probably this was too heated for where this was. It could have been held back more.
So what, you met all these babysitters today, and what, none of them were any good?
Exactly.
How many? How many?
7.
And what, they were too old, they were too weird? What were they?
You want to interview them? You stay home all day and interview them. You stay home.
I remember this was the first time Mel had ever had to cry on camera, because she had been a model before. She hadn't been an actress that long, and this scene terrified her because she was going to have to break down. And she was so sweet and vulnerable about it.
Is she responsible? What? I mean, who's she gonna call when the baby chokes? And today, when she's crying for an hour, I don't know what to do. And I finally get her to stop. Do you think that someone else?
And I hear the New Jersey. I love it. I love that sort of New Jersey thing that she had.
I know.
She was crying for an hour today? What was it?
I don't know. I gave her
what I also remember, again, about where I was in my life at this moment is that Liberty was still breastfeeding. And the hormones that were raging, I think, is what really informed our notion of what this scene might be.
No comment. But you can see where, he started out angry in the scene, and now he just loves her and wants to take care of her.
So, I know. Shh, it's okay. We'll find a babysitter.
At the end of the act is we'll find a babysitter. That's the conflict.
I forgot. You have your own supplemental female heating system. Oh, right. And you've never made it with anyone's backpack. Oh, what?
This was the scene where the whole issue of pace.
This was one of the first
rhythm.
scenes we actually shot in the schedule. This might have been the first thing we shot in the entire.
No, it wasn't the first
pilot.
day. It wasn't the first day.
Wasn't it?
But you and I had a big fight.
That's right.
While we were shooting this scene.
And I was right.
Yeah, you were right. No question you were right. The rhythm wasn't fast enough. And by the way, it still isn't, but we got better.
Yeah.
But,
it was the first time we could ever.
It was ramping up.
You looked at a stopwatch and said, "Well, we did it in 1:30.
Yeah.
What happens if you do the scene in 1:15?"
Yeah.
And it was the same scene, and nobody could tell the difference except it was better.
It was better, right?
One thing, death is another.
So, how is it now that she has a baby?
Interesting thing for Peter in this, in that we'd written this character who was so blithe and so sort of goofy, when in fact Peter was, deeply serious.
Oh yeah.
Deeply soulful and thoughtful, and had to sort of bend his mind around this character.
It was very hard for him to play that character, and eventually the character changed
to be
because
more of that stuff that was Peter.
Yeah, we were squandering what he had to offer.
That's right.
Really, I've never seen you like you were yesterday. You're really suffering, and you need to find a way out of it.
Ellen, I am not suffering. I am having a perfectly delightful life taking care of my child, and Michael is doing his best to support us.
I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about you. When was the last time you did anything for yourself? When was the last time... when was the last time you went to a movie? Or went shopping, even?
Shopping. There's a concept.
I mean, you looked terrible yesterday. So here's what I think you should do. Set some new priorities. Call Sheila Day. Can't hurt. Just call him.
Tell him that you want to go back to work, even part-time. For you.
Sheila Day is out of the question. He was furious enough when I got pregnant. This job takes total dedication.
Sue the jerk. That's illegal.
Ellen, goodbye.
I'm saying this because I love you. You know that. Goodbye.
Another Ry Q.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is very much like Ry Cooter here.
Yeah. This is, even in the pilot, we were experimenting with the idea of these moments of pushed reality,
and
which
in fact,
ended up becoming such an important part of the series.
Right. I mean, by the third episode, we were doing a Rashomon. By the fourth episode, we were doing a Hitchcock episode, and it just went on from there.
Yeah.
I heard you're going camping.
Some year.
Under the stars, no kids. It sounds so romantic, it's obscene.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, rocks under your sleeping bag, bears attacking you in the middle of
No
the night.
kids to get up and feed.
Do you remember we went backpacking and a bear came?
Yes, Ed, I remember. I'm surprised you remember because you slept through the whole damn thing. Yes.
It's funny how something like that will find its way into a screenplay.
So many things in our lives find their way into these. Oh, here we go. This is the scene where it comes out.
Right now, I'll tell you what I like about the scene, and it's a little thing for geeks, which is that the timing of Ken hearing what she's saying, or Mel hearing what she's saying, and then coming back out, wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
And there's a jump cut in here.
There's a 12-second jump
12
cut. It's actually when he's sitting there.
Yes, he's sitting there.
And he doesn't move in 12 seconds.
And literally, you're able to
show it.
To take 12 frames out of the film.
No, 12 seconds.
12 seconds.
Yes.
It's remarkable. Think of how badly the scene would have been had it had 12 extra seconds in it.
Just remarkable.
Now, this is, and that's Steve Rosenblum, by the way.
Yeah,
sitting
figure
there
that out.
saying, "Oh, this is how you have to make this work."
Right. But by the way, the direction of this scene was so influenced by Nina Foch, who was our teacher at AFI, who actually died recently, and the notion that he's going to walk out of the room. I'm sorry, she walks out of the room.
Right.
The scene continues while she's not in the room.
Right.
Is a leap of imagination I would never have been able to make without her sort of getting me to look at scenes in a different way.
Right. But then again, Woody Allen had already made Manhattan.
Oh, shut up. Yeah.
Here's the shot, by the way.
Here we go. She walks out. All right, he sits. There it was.
There's
there
the
it is,
jump
right there.
cut.
Yes. Yeah. 12 seconds.
Wow.
He sat there for 12 seconds.
And she figures it out.
She figures
off
it
camera.
out. Off camera. Yeah. In the distance. We didn't cut into her for that aha moment.
Right. Here's a question: did you shoot the shot of her, the tight shot?
I think
for
I
a
did.
cut?
Yes.
I bet you did.
I think I did.
And then
Absolutely.
didn't use it.
Yeah, we didn't use it because it played in this.
Please tell me if he's a total jerk, or this is just something that happened, in which case he's only somewhat.
One time, apparently it was pretty awful.
Well, good. It serves him right.
Oh, please, Home.
This is not what I needed to hear today. Why did you tell me this?
Well, I didn't have an affair.
Are you sure?
You want me to check and make sure?
Yes.
I'm sure.
Here comes the 747. Open up.
What a good baby. Is every baby this good? I want this baby. Can I have her? I know. How am I ever gonna have a baby? I'm dating babies.
Are you crazy? I love your body.
It's totally out of proportion.
I like that opening shot. The idea is that we only see a partial bit of her and
Yes.
him like that is really great. And then discover that all three of them are in bed.
Yeah.
This is also based on a certain way that we were living our lives at the time.
Absolutely.
I remember that I had a house that had this bed that was a platform bed.
Right.
And it was one of the few places to sit in the house.
And everyone would just hang out
Everyone
there.
would just hang out there. And I think that's where sort of this found its way.
Over here. Hey, kid, you want to meet a horny 31-year-old? Can't we ask him to babysit or something?
He's an illiterate zombie.
At least he isn't married. So who is going to stay over when we go backpacking?
I love the way Danny lit this scene. Also, there's it's just
That
an
glow.
intimate glow. You know.
You know, I
I
actually.
remember it was very easy. Some scenes just go together, and it just had this organic quality, and it just worked.
It's kind of amazing how Patrick then created these looks.
Yeah.
You know, he just, with very little conversation, I might add,
Yes.
said, well, this is, I think, what her character should be
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And then just did it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
12.
The party.
She will wake up in 1 hour and 36 minutes. You okay? You still mad? Michael, I told you I would start to look for a sitter again on Monday. Can't we just drop this?
Call the police.
Michael, it's Saturday night. You're allowed to have a party on Saturday night.
You led me to believe that you were working on this, and you weren't. Now, what am I supposed to think?
You assumed I was working on it. You know, you could have asked. You could have tried to help.
Look for a sitter?
How many conversations do they end up having in bed in the course of the season? I think, you know, it's the battleground, and it's the place where everything ends up getting worked out.
And it's also a difficult place to shoot, actually. It's hard to shoot people in bed.
Well, the other thing about the pilot too is you were shooting in a practical house.
Yeah.
And that dictated so much about how Danny had to light it.
Yeah.
How you had to shoot it.
Yeah.
You know, when you shoot a pilot, I'm not sure people even know that you can't afford to build sets, so you have to really do so many things practical that later you then find a way to create.
Right.
It is not just 2 nights, it is a whole attitude. Don't tell me to be quiet.
Well, and this is the conventional end of third act scene.
Yes.
And television now tends to be broken up into more like 5 acts and sometimes even 6, so as to make more commercial breaks.
Right.
But the classic form was 4 acts. And now at the end of the third act, this issue that's supposedly about babysitting becomes revealed, you know, to be about something much deeper.
And it blows up.
Right.
End of third act is a big blow up. Whereas we used to say, because we worked on Family, Buddy walks out of the house, or, you know, something like that.
You hate me?
No, I don't hate you.
Just tell me I haven't become my mother.
Look, it's 12:30. You want to turn down the damn music? Hey, you want to turn down the music? Chill out. What'd you say? You heard me. It's 12:30. Turn down the damn music. So you want me to come up there and beat your face in your little twerp? Just turn down the damn music.
Yep. It's worthy of crying.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. You have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough time.
Well, it's not like we don't want to go.
It's just that we don't think it can work out right now.
Guys, it's okay. People have kids, you know, priorities change. Old friends don't mean anything anymore. No, I understand. Come on,
Well, I have to go. Look, are people mad here?
I'm not mad. I never liked you people anyway.
Melissa,
I'll call you when we get back.
I think something we were finding out, even in this episode, but then in the whole show, is that one could find in a moment in a life, meaning a passage, you know, meaning having a child, that was epic, that was something that could be translated, and people who had either been through it or wanted to go through it or were in the middle of going through it would then identify it. And I think that then ended up informing a lot of the work. It informed not just this show, it informed my so-called life, it informed Once and Again.
Well, it's what you just said. It's the epic in everyday life. That's that's you know, it's something that actually that Freud talked about, and you know, that everyone goes through these epic stories in their own development, and that's worthy of drama.
Right. That's why he used all those Greek mythological characters.
Right.
And this is the first time we did a fantasy.
Yeah.
That, you know, little brief one.
Right.
But that was to say, well, let's break up the narrative and let's see if we can just keep people, you know, leaning forward and rather than leaning back, and they didn't know how to go back to the conventional narrative because they were sophisticated as an audience.
Right. I think this was actually the first day of shooting at this park, and I had a cold, and I had laryngitis. I woke up with laryngitis. I had no voice. And I remember being out there.
Well, maybe that's why the actors do so well, is because you had nothing that they didn't have to listen to you tell them anything.
It occurs to me we haven't spoken in 6 days. Now in my life.
But then again, you see an actress like Polly, who was, you know, at that time was a brilliant stage actress, and, you know, what you need in a television schedule and a show is somebody who can just do it right away, first time, every time. And in fact, you don't have time to give people a lot of help sometimes.
That's right.
And that's what is revealed with this kind of a performance from her, or Timmy when he's on the balcony, or, you know, or you know, any of them at different times.
My husband is mad. And there I am, caring for this creature with this connection I've never had with anyone before.
She's the best thing that has ever happened to me. I don't know how to separate myself from that. I don't know that I want to. And I don't think you understand that.
I can understand that.
Ellen, you never even look at her. You never ask about her. You hardly acknowledge her existence.
Okay, I called you 2 days after she was born. I saw you a week after, 10 days after.
You saw me. You didn't see her.
What the hell was the present I gave her?
Ellen, you bought her a book of Arthur Rackham fairy stories. It's beautiful. I loved it, but she's not going to read it until she's 10.
Oh,
I don't mean to criticize your present. It's a wonderful present. I'm just saying that... Please don't get defensive. You can't just look the other way and pretend she's not there. She's a part of me.
I'm a part of your life, too.
I think we're being very quiet and just watching the scene now.
I know.
Can you think of anything interesting to say?
I used to go to that park all the time with my kids. I mean, there was this amazing way in which we used the backgrounds of our own lives in order to shoot this.
Well, I know that you know, in the months before this, that Liberty had a terrible confrontation with a friend of hers, and you know, the question was that enough to be an entire subplot in an episode? It's clear that the marriage was. That's, you know, that's got stakes. But could you find stakes in this, you know, this peripheral friendship?
And the answer is yes, because it's about the feelings that run so deep between two people,
Right.
and the possibility of loss.
And so that therefore the idea of the baby is this center of a wheel.
It's a catalyst.
That everything is spinning around.
Right.
And it's the best thing that's ever happened to them, and it's separating their friendships, and it's driving rift between them, and their sex life is changing.
Right.
And all these things are happening over this ordinary event.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
can't deal with conflict of any kind.
Oh, somebody else is lying down.
Yeah, I think you took that staging bit just a little bit far. I think it happens about 5 times in the pilot. I think you've made your point there.
Can we just respect what the other person is doing?
But I respect you so much. Do you respect me?
We respect. No, you understand. Of course I respect you. I'm jealous of you.
I'm jealous of you.
Oh, God.
And now everything is okay. All right, so here they are. This was on 4th Street in Santa Monica.
Oh, that's right, which is right where our office is now, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, you didn't have to be so damn patronizing about my apology. Hey, I know you kids got principles. That's what I like about you. You want to do your thing. I hate this. What are we doing here? Why did we start this business?
To do our thing. We won't always have to deal with sleazeballs like Teller. We'll deal with higher class sleazeballs. We'll come back.
I think it behooves us to say that Teller is named after Walter Teller, our lawyer, who we decided to name as a sleazeball, and one of our closest friends, and has been our lawyer for 30 years since.
That's right. And we thought he'd be happy about it.
Was he?
He was
not?
He was a little upset.
Was he?
that he was portrayed as a jerk.
That's funny. It's funny to see this after, you know, this time. I mean, you know, my son is 22 and your kids are 25 and 23. Is that
26 and 21.
Right.
Yes.
But to be reminded of that kind of time with the kid, of how constant and how, you know, sort of labor intensive it is, that point gets made in this. And that was something we were trying to do.
Absolutely.
I spent every day this week trying to figure out a way to keep us from going under. I mean, surrender, and I couldn't. So I crawled back to tell her today. I sold out.
Honey, why didn't you tell me?
I tried to tell you.
You made jokes about it.
Because you don't want to hear it, and I don't blame you. I'm supposed to deal with this stuff. I earn the money now.
Michael, I keep telling you, I don't expect that of you. You're doing this incredibly brave thing. I don't want you to have to compromise.
But you're going back to work as a compromise, too. You love her, you don't want to go back to work now. It's just not according to
And this issue, the idea of her working or not working, became such a lightning rod for the show.
Talk about politics.
Because, you know, we literally had just come through, you know, the radical feminist movement. And suddenly, here, these people are confronting their own politics and their beliefs and the realities of actually having the kid. And it was so polarizing to women on both sides to presume to talk about this ambivalence.
Right. And all we were doing was talking about the ambivalence. We weren't really taking a position.
Right. Well, I think inevitably it was seen as having taken a position because this was the show.
Because she was not working.
She was not working at the time. Although, as the show went on, she goes back to work, which sets a whole other set of issues in motion.
Right.
But as my wife says, she wakes up and fails.
You've always been my best friend, and I've always told you everything. Only now I can't. Because they're all about you, and I'm afraid that you're going to hear it and you'll just explode, or, you know, you kill me, or you'll...
You can tell me.
No, I can't. It's too hurtful. See, I don't want to be Elliot and Nancy. I don't want to be attracted to other women.
Are you attracted to other women?
Not really.
Then
he nods.
I'm sorry.
You know, there are things that are ragged about the scene, things that don't entirely work. But it was trying to lay out this territory, this truthful territory that's not necessarily pretty.
There for me.
And it's finally about vulnerability. By the way, this was not an easy scene for Ken to do. It's something that he learned to do as we moved into the series. It was a transition for him as an actor to get to that place.
Well, it's a different paradigm for what a leading man is supposed to be. You know, Ken had done wonderful work on Hill Street Blues. He'd done great work in Bay City Blues. And here he was doing something that was really the inverse of that.
Right.
So why is this so hard?
because we expect too much. Because we've always gotten too much. I think that our parents got together.
In life, I'm not sure that anybody can approach these kind of moments of intimacy on a weekly basis. I think it's aspirational. I think it's a fantasy of a place that you've been sometimes in your life and would like to be able to get to more often, and sometimes even do.
You have to recognize where these pools of emotion really exist in us, and then create a circumstance where someone can tap into it in such a way that doesn't put off the audience, that invites them in some way, and allows them to identify. This is really about identification, finally.
Looking at the credits, I see Bob Netches, who was in my first film. I'll see if there's anybody who's going to come up that's going to surprise me. And Steve McAveety went on to run Mel Gibson's company.
Yeah.
And Bruce Olander, as the gaffer, has been a major gaffer in movies. I think he works for all sorts of very big DPs. And we never mentioned Judy Holster and Marcia Ross, who cast this with us, who did such a spectacular job.
Fantastic.
And dance by the light of the